Are you ready for some football? Well, you better be. Coming up, the most in-depth Philadelphia area high school football preview on television. Welcome to SFBN Talks High School Sports. Talk about that game and that team in particular. And let's talk about some of the players. Yeah, so let's talk about that. Welcome to the first episode of SFBN Talks High School Sports. I'm your host, Bluestein. We're going to provide you with some of the best coverage of high school sports in the tri-state area. We're going to have highlights, we're going to have interviews with players and coaches, and some great analysis from some of the top experts and writers in the area in the high school sports world. And my co-host today is Jeremy Treatman. JT, how pumped are you for this show?
I am so pumped. Thanks so much for including me as part of the show. As you know, I've been a lifelong advocate of high school sports and bringing exposure to these great student athletes, so I'm thrilled to be part of it.
Well, let's get right into it. Obviously, football is the hot topic right now in the fall, so this will be our high school football preview show, and we have a lot of great guests coming up here today. JT, some great football being played in the tri-state area.
There sure is. When people think about Pennsylvania football, they think about Western Pennsylvania, all the great quarterbacks that came out of there, the Jim Kellys and the Dan Marinos, the Joe Namaths. But right now, Eastern Pennsylvania, the Philadelphia region in particular, is where it's at, where it's hot. I think there's 4 or 5 teams that could crack the national top 25 this year. Archbishop Wood is excellent. LaSalle is excellent. St. Joe Prep is coming off a state championship year in the 4A. They're really good. Imhotep Charter is really good, a team on the rise.
Yeah, we had some fun and had a little top 10 poll. You and I and some of the top writers in the area participated. When you take a look at this poll, St. Joe Prep is the unanimous #1. Yeah. What else do you see from this poll?
Well, I see 3 or 4 teams that could take that #1 spot, but St. Joe Prep deserves to be #1 to start the year. They're coming off the state championship win. Gabe Infante's got that team on a roll. They had some stumbles during the regular season last year, but when it really mattered, they won all the big games and won all the marbles in 4A. I think Archbishop Wood can repeat in 3A. They may be better than St. Joe Prep. I'm not sure. Imhotep Charter potentially could be better than all of them. I think North Penn, this could be their best year in 6 or 7 years. I think the Neshamony's going to be very strong. I love the Interact schools. I think that Haverford School and Malvern Prep, who we have ranked very high, they deserve it. They're not as deep. They've got 40 people on the roster, not 60 or 70 or 80. But their starters offensively and defensively can match up with anybody. Right, and you look at the bottom end of this poll, Ryan, Judge, Roman, all on there. They can make some noise in the Catholic League too. Yeah, the one team I'd look out for is Archbishop Ryan. Frank McCardle's squad is excellent. Last year they beat St. Joe Prep and Archbishop Wood in consecutive weeks. They didn't even make their playoffs, and they beat maybe the 2 best teams in the Philadelphia region, and they've got 9 starters back. So I think they're going to be really, really good. And a couple teams to look out for in the Philadelphia Public League. Martin Luther King showed they're the new power. I think they're going to be back. They could be in our top 10 when the season's over. And George Washington, never count out Ron Cohen, the all-time winningest coach in Philadelphia high school history. He's got a good team this year. Yeah, you throw in Frankfort and Northeast in the Public League as well. Hey, Northeast, your alma mater. That's exactly right. Now, you mentioned North Penn and Neshamony, some of the better suburban teams, but is there anybody else that we should maybe keep our eye on? I know Pennsbury and Abington lost their quarterbacks and lost some depth and some starters, but I think their coaching staffs and the program's so strong that I think those 2 teams are going to be in contention for state playoffs. I like Springford going into the season. I would think with their schedule, they could go in with 0, 1, or 2 losses. I think they're going to be good. Council Rock North looks like they're going to have a good year. Spencer Buck South looks like they're going to have a good year. And I like the Springside Chestnut Hill team in the Interact. They're a small school that's had a couple of undefeated seasons in the last 10 years. They may be a sleeper to watch out. There are so many good teams, so many things to talk about here today, and we're going to get to a lot of that coming up here on SFBN Talks High School Sports. When we return, we will have interviews with some of the top guests and coaches in the area. We'll be right back after this.
Hi, I'm Tommy Green, former pitcher for the Philadelphia Phillies. When I was in high school, it was very important to me to show scouts what I could do. My friends at Payroll Service Solutions are huge supporters of high school sports and the Sports Fan Base Network. If you're a small to medium-sized business in need of a payroll company, contact Payroll Service Solutions. Not only will they take care of you, they will continue to support the community. For more information, contact Payroll Service Solutions at 215-624-0922 or 866-PAY-EASY.
I got the personal attention I needed, I had a lot of options when I graduated, As far as I'm concerned, this is my dream job.
Ryder prepared me for my NBA career, and I also got the education that I need for life after basketball.
I had 6 teaching internships while I was at Ryder, and right after graduation, I started a career that I love.
For over 30 years, the Runaround has serviced southeastern Pennsylvania as the premier team outfitter in the region. Located in Abington, the Runaround serves as a one-stop shop for many of the area's top high school and collegiate athletic programs, as well as numerous travel teams, youth organizations, and corporations. With its top-quality screen printing and embroidery coupled with the best prices in the region, the Runaround is your answer to any team apparel needs.
The Sports Fan Base Network, this area's leader in high school sports broadcasting, is heading to TCN with a brand new talk show. Join us every other Wednesday at 6 o'clock for SFBN Talks High School Sports. We'll have everything from interviews with players, coaches, writers, and more, plus analysis, rankings, highlights, and in-depth features on major topics in the Delaware Valley high school sports community. Tune in every other Wednesday, 6 p.m. on TCN for SFBN Talks High School Sports.
Welcome back. St. Joe Prep won the 4A state championship, and JT, it was their first time in the state tournament. Talk about that run the Hawks had.
It was fantastic. They had 3 regular season losses, so a lot of people weren't expecting them to have that kind of run in the state championship. But Gabe Infante got his team ready. That offense was unstoppable in the postseason.
Well, this is what Coach Infante had to say about his 4A state title run last year.
Winning the state title in Pennsylvania last year was quite an experience. Obviously, it was overwhelming to see the pride and the joy of our school and our players and our alumni. You know, that experience for our kids was amazing. The journey was one that had a lot of ups and downs, so to watch our team kind of mature and go through that process and persevere and end up in Hershey when the whole journey started in Texas was quite an experience for everyone, one that no one will ever forget.
Archbishop Wood also won the state championship. It was their second time in 3 years. You think Coach Devlin's feeling any pressure to get back there again?
Oh, he definitely is. He's built this program up to this level, and he wants to keep it there. And there is pressure that goes with that. But if anyone can do it, Coach Devlin has been to that championship game 4 or 5 years. No reason he can't get back there again.
Well, I asked Coach Devlin that same question. Here's what he had to say.
I don't think we feel the pressure. I think it's something that we're shooting for each year. It's one of our goals, one of the things we set out to do, one of the things that we motivates us in our training, in our spring and summer workouts. It's definitely something that it's on our minds, but I don't think it's pressure. We take one game at a time. We've always done that, and we want to win the Catholic League first and then move on from there.
Well, the other local team that made it to the state championship were the Imhotep Panthers. They fell 1 win short, losing in the state championship game at the 2A level. Talk about that.
It was a crushing loss for them. They didn't just lose, they got routed. And after the regular season had, where they averaged beating teams 45-9, it was unexpected. I think Albie Crosby and his team have learned from it, and they're going to be tough to beat.
Well, we asked Coach Crosby what that bus ride home was like from Hershey.
Well, that bus ride was very, very tough. It was very, very tough, and it was extremely long. It felt like we were driving from Pittsburgh. That's how long it felt. It was not like hour and a half bus ride. It was long, but it was long because I think we felt like there was a lot of opportunities that we left out there. As players, there were some plays that we could have made, and as coaches, there were a lot of different calls that we could have done to put our kids in a better position. So there was a lot of things that we felt like we could have done a little bit differently to change the outcome of that game, but we didn't do it. So when you leave an opportunity out there, you kind of have second regrets and second thoughts, and that's what that bus ride was about.
Well, all 3 teams had success last year. JT, do you think they could potentially have the same success this year?
There's no reason why they can't. They've got more than half their starters back. They got a lot of key players back. They got a lot of Division I players back. They got great coaching staffs. The programs are established. I see no reason why they can't.
Well, we asked all 3 coaches what they thought about this year's squad.
So what we have to do to succeed this year is forget about last year and just kind of focus on getting better every day. Obviously, there's some advantages to returning so many talented players. You know, the most important one being that they have some great knowledge and experience of what it takes to get there. And we're hoping they can build on that, knowing what it takes to persevere and how long the season is and what it takes to get to a state title, that they can build upon that. But the most important thing for them to do this year is to just focus on getting better each day. You know, I've been quoted in the paper as saying, you know, we possess the 2013 trophy. That one we'll defend. The 2014 trophy, we don't own that one. You can't defend something you don't possess. Now, we're going to have to go out there and get that one just like everybody else. And I hope our kids understand that. And hopefully, you know, we can do that day in and day out and get better and get to a point where we can play the best football that we can play. And hopefully that'll be good enough for us in the end.
Well, we're excited coming in. We were young last year, winning a state championship, and we have a lot of guys coming back with a lot of experience and a lot of depth. So we're excited about it. We have to keep getting better every day. We have to be better today than we were yesterday, and that's the motto we've had. And it's going to be exciting for us. But we need to get better every day, and we need just not to be satisfied with things and not live off of last year's team, because it's a totally different year and it's a totally different team.
Our outcome for this season is the same outcome we had for the past 2 seasons. It's to win a state championship. That's the outcome. That's the only outcome. That's the only way the season is a success. Key players that we have, you know, we have the Andre Druids, we have the Tyleek Rainers, the Mike Waters. We have guys that can make plays, and we just look for them to do just that. On the defensive side, we have Shaquille Jones, Kwame Wright Downing, Shaka Tony. We have a lot of kids that are high marquee players, and what we want them to do is to do what they do. Is make plays, play within the means of our program, and just have fun and enjoy the game. So if they do that, you know, we have a little slogan here. If you want to shine, you got to polish. So for them to have that shine, we got to put in that polish.
Well, I want to thank all 3 coaches, Coach Infante, Coach Devlin, and Coach Crosby, for giving us their time here on SFBN Talks High School Sports. When we return, we'll have the Writers' Corner with Philadelphia Inquirer's own Rick O'Brien.
I got the personal attention I needed, I had a lot of options when I graduated, and as far as I'm concerned, this is my dream job.
Ryder prepared me for my NBA career, and I also got the education that I need for life after basketball.
I had 6 teaching internships while I was at Ryder, and right after graduation, I started a career that I love.
The Sports Fan Base Network, this area's leader in high school sports broadcasting, is heading to TCN with a brand new talk show. Join us every other Wednesday at 6 o'clock for SFBN Talks High School Sports. We'll have everything from interviews with players, coaches, writers, and more, plus analysis, rankings, highlights, and in-depth features on major topics in the Delaware Valley high school sports community. Tune in every other Wednesday, 6 p.m. on TCN for SFBN Talks High School Sports.
The Writers' Corner is brought to you by Eldion Pagilari State Farm Insurance Agency. For all your insurance and financial needs, please contact Eldion and his friendly team at 215-485-5556 or visit their website, epinsured.com. Welcome back to SFBN Talks. It's now time for the Writers' Corner, and this week we have Rick O'Brien from the Philadelphia Inquirer. Rick, thank you for joining us here today on our high school football preview show.
Good to be here.
So let's talk about the Catholic League first. We've talked about that a little bit. The Prep, Wood, and LaSalle, arguably the top 3 teams in the Catholic League. Who do you think is the best of that bunch?
Yeah, well, you've mentioned the big 3, and it's talent across the board, but I think St. Joe's Prep, with the number of guys they have back from that Class 4A state championship team, has to come in as the favorite. Great playmakers, John Reed, Zacchaeus, and DeAndre Swift, so they're loaded, the Prep, and they come in as the fave.
Yeah, the Prep getting national attention, but everyone's forgetting about LaSalle. They've got some serious talent, and they dominated 4A over the Prep over the last few years before last year. What do you think about LaSalle giving the Prep a run for their money in 4A?
For sure. LaSalle is a team that can't be counted out. Great coaching in Drew Gordon, and then his son Brett Gordon is the offensive coordinator. Kyle Shermer back, son of Pat Shermer, the Eagles offensive coordinator, and great running backs in Nick Grinnell and Jordan Meacham. So keep an eye on the Explorers too.
All right, now Archbishop Wood, they're in 3A. They pretty much dominated 3A in the Catholic League and in the city title game, but this year might be a little different story because you have the Imhotep Panthers in the public league moving up to 3A. I think everybody's circling that game on their calendar that Wood will play Imhotep in the 3A city title.
Yeah, it's hard to picture any other scenario but Wood and Imhotep playing come November for the Class 3A District Championship. That's going to be a great one. Wood again is loaded after winning the Class 3A state title last season. Imhotep has a bunch of Division I recruits, so it should be a great matchup come November.
Now, Imhotep should win 3A in the public league, as we said, but 4A is kind of interesting. In the past, it's been Frankfurt. They've dominated that. But they're having somewhat of a down year. You've got Washington and Northeast both having better years. King kind of a wild card in there as well. Who do you like coming out of 4A in the public league?
Well, I think there is parity this year in the public league 4A. Frankfurt's a two-time defending champ, but they lost a lot to graduation, as did George Washington, which will be very young. So right now, I would give a little edge to Northeast, which has Asa Manley, great cornerback, who will also play quarterback, and a strong defensive end in Vladimir Paul. So I like the Vikings a little bit.
Now let's move into the Interac, the other city league, if you will. Malvern, Haverford, Episcopal, those are the three teams that usually people talk about with the Interac. Who's the team to beat in the Interac this year?
I think based on what they return, Malvern Prep have a good young coach in Aaron Brady, who works with USA Football. They look very good. A good quarterback in Alex Hornberg, who will play at Pittsburgh. They also have Trevor Morris, a fullback linebacker, who's bound for Rutgers. So I think Malvern Prep, which shared the title last year with Haverford School, is the early fave.
So let's get out of the city for a moment. Let's go into the suburbs. A lot of great teams to talk about. Let's start in Bucks County. Pennsbury, Abington had a pretty good year last year. Now, Neshaminy was the team that won the 4A Suburban 1 title. Who do you like in the suburbs, really in that Bucks County area?
Yeah, I think Neshaminy, because they were hit so hard by graduation, might take a step back. So I think Pennsbury, which is the defending SOL national champ, is the favorite coming in. Great running backs in Charles Norway and Raheem Thompson. They're also big up front. Sam Raywood, Austin O'Neill, Mason Horiat. They're very good up front. So I like Pennsbury as a team to be feared in the SOL National. Now, going out a little bit further, Coatesville is a team that you always think of that is a pretty good football program, basketball as well. But talking football here, how do you think Coatesville will be here this fall? Coatesville is going to be strong as well. A lot of athletes on both sides of the ball. Jay Stocker, a wide receiver D-back, who's a Division I recruit. They also have Akeem Evans, who's a D-back, will play at Temple. So Coatesville is going to be right in the mix. But I think Downingtown East and Downingtown West will have a say in things as well. Downingtown West brings a bunch of starters back, and they're the defending champs. Yeah, so much good football being played in the suburbs, and the same thing over the bridge in South Jersey. You look at some teams like Timber Creek, they're pretty solid. St. Joseph's of Hamilton, they actually played the Prep this year in a non-league game. Who do you like? Who are some of the teams that you like in that group? I think you mentioned the top dogs there, but I think Hamilton of St. Joseph's of Hamilton comes in as the top team. Based on, they bring back the Horn twins, very juniors, athletic. Also CJ LaFragola, who's a fullback that'll play at Princeton. Timber Creek, wow, 32-4 over the last 3 years. They have Cameron Chambers, a dangerous wideout. They also bring back Sean Springs, who's coming over from Archbishop Carroll. Also Kareem Ali, a two-way back, will play at Temple. So keep an eye on the Chargers this year. Wow, so some great football to be played here in the fall of 2014 in this area. Rick, thanks for joining us here on the Writers' Corner today. Thanks, Ari. Thank you very much, Rick. And when we come back, we will have our roundtable discussion as we continue our high school football preview.
Hi, I'm Marty Bystrom, former pitcher for the Philadelphia Phillies. In my experience in Major League Baseball, I know how important it is for high school athletes to gain exposure. My friends at Payroll Service Solutions are huge supporters of high school sports and the Sports Fan Base Network. If you are a small to medium-sized business in need of a payroll company, contact Payroll Service Solutions. Not only will they take care of you, they will continue to support the community. For more information, contact Payroll Service Solutions at 215-624-0922 or 866-PAY-EASY.
For over 30 years, the Runaround has serviced southeastern Pennsylvania as the premier team outfitter in the region. Located in Abington, the Runaround serves as a one-stop shop for many of the area's top high school and collegiate athletic programs, as well as numerous travel teams, youth organizations, and corporations. With its top-quality screen printing and embroidery coupled with the best prices in the region, the Runaround is your answer to any team apparel needs.
welcome back to SFBN Talks. It's now time for our roundtable discussion here on our high school football preview show. JT is back, Ace Carter from the Philadelphia Daily News, and John Mozes from 1440 AM WNPV. Thanks, guys, for joining us. And John, I wanted to talk to you first about North Penn. You know, you're a North Penn guy. Got a chance to talk to head coach Dick Beck. How do the Knights look this year?
Well, their biggest strength is going to be running back Knifey's West. He came on sort of late in the year last year. Didn't really get on the field until week 3 for them, but he still ran for almost 1,500 yards. He's a dangerous returner as well, a 70-yard punt return for a touchdown in the playoff run last year for North Penn. He's going to be their biggest strength this season.
It'll be interesting to see if that strength will translate against the Catholic League teams. I know Archbishop Wood and LaSalle last year, I know they roughed up North Penn, really shut down that offense. And so I'll be looking to see if West is going to make some improvements against these two teams this season.
Well, North Penn really has some experience coming back on their offensive line. 4 starters from a year ago are back, and West, I mean, at 5'9", he sort of hides behind that line of scrimmage a little bit, so that can be tough for defenses. But that experience of playing against those Catholic League teams a year ago should really help North Penn this year.
Dick Beck's teams have been dominating over the years. Last year was one of the first years I remember them struggling, especially at the beginning of the year over at North Penn. Do you feel with that experience offensive line, running game, and experience overall, that this is a team that could contend for the whole thing?
I think so. I think that's really the goal for them. The District 1 Quad A title, I think that's something that's very feasible for that program.
Let's get back into the city. We showed a poll earlier that you and JT both voted in. It was unanimous. Number 1, St. Joe Prep. You had Wood, LaSalle, Imhotep, West Catholic. They were all mixed in there. Who's the best team in the city? What do you think? What's your opinion?
There's nothing like being put on the spot in August. Who's the best team in the city?
Hey, usually I get this question. I'm glad you're getting it.
Not even a snap yet in the season. Okay, with the caveat of right now, I'll say St. Joe's Prep. You have to look at them. Class 4A state title team last season. A lot of talent returning. Interesting to see at the quarterback position. They lose Chris Martin last year, was the senior and really a leader on that team, did a lot for them. But in the backfield, you still have DeAndre Swift, Ozakias is still back there, and of course John Reed.
Yeah, I agree with you about John Reed. I think he's the guy who's going to go from here to here, from 682 yards, guarantee over 1,000 this year, and the best defensive player in the area, going to Penn State next year. So I like Prep number 1. I also like Imhotep. I'm not sure how you feel about that. For that, everybody's looking at that potential Imhotep Archbishop Wood game in the city title for 3A, and maybe Imhotep could win the whole thing. I'm giving the edge to Imhotep this year, and I love that quarterback, Andre Druids-Park.
Yeah, no doubt Imhotep is an explosive offensive team and a very talented defensive team as well. You look at Tyleek Rayner and Mike Waters in the backfield, 2 guys that can score anytime they touch the ball. So it'll be interesting to see that game, if that's the game that we get. I like Wood only because of the experience factor, the becoming... When you're used to winning, you start that helps you win those tight games, those big games. And I think that's going to propel them at the end.
Ace, I think I'm with you on that. Archbishop Wood winning the 3A. I mean, from a suburban perspective, they've done nothing but dominate 3A suburban teams these last few years, winning the title 2 of the last 3. So I'm with you. Archbishop Wood, I think, is the best 3A team in the city.
But we'll remember this conversation.
Well, let's fast forward to November now. We asked you to predict who's going to be the best team. Let's go to actually predicting some games now. And John, we'll start with you. District 1 4A, a phenomenal tournament. You know, you talk about North Penn. The Chamonix won it all last year. Any other teams in the mix there that maybe could contend with those squads?
Central Buck South should be in the mix, as will Council Rock North. Council Rock North quarterback Brandon McElwain, he's a guy that's attracting significant college interest. He's a guy that could really propel them into perhaps the title game in the District 1 Quad A, but for me, it comes down to North Penn and the Chamonix. I mean, they're, in my opinion, the 2 best teams in the suburbs.
Let's go back to the city here for a moment. Ace, you had your little Wood Imhotep battle. Let's go to 4A now. St. Joe Prep, we're talking a lot about them, but nobody's really talking about LaSalle. We talked about them a little bit with Rick O'Brien earlier. Who do you think wins that game between LaSalle and the Prep in 4A?
Yeah, I think, and that's why I gave you the caveat of right now I have Prep as the number 1 team, but I think as the season progresses, I think those 2 teams, LaSalle and Prep, will meet again in the playoffs. And I give the edge to LaSalle only because of the revenge factor. Prep was able to knock them off in the playoffs last year and end their consecutive Catholic League title streak. And you look at some of the junior talent that they had last season with Kyle Shermer and Jordan Meacham. Those guys now being seniors, I think that leadership is going to help propel them this season.
Ace, respectfully got to disagree again. I like St. Joe Prep. Even if they lose the regular season game, I think in the playoff potential game for all the marbles, I think St. Joe Prep's just too strong. The skill position players are so strong. I also like West Catholic in 2A this year.
Well, there's a lot of football to be played between now and then. Having a little fun talking about it now is one thing, but we'll see what happens when the light's on. Thanks, guys, for joining us here with the roundtable discussion. Ace Carter and John Mozes. Thanks a lot, guys. We'll be right back here on SFBN Talks. Check out more what's coming up here on the Sports Fan Base Network. Check out all those games on the Sports Fan Base Network. Go to our website, www.thesportsfanbasenetwork.com. Well, JT, how about that for football preview show?
Fantastic stuff. Fantastic season ahead. I cannot wait. We got a big game to Matha, Archbishop Wood to open the season. You got to be kidding me.
Yeah, it should be a lot of fun.
Wow.
That's about it for our opening show. Thank you for tuning in to SFBN Talks High School Sports. We'll be back on Wednesday, September 10th with an all-new show. Enjoy opening weekend. Yeah, the Matha Wood should be a little bit.
Select video equipment for SFBN Talks has been provided by DMP Video. DMP Video. You provide the moment, we'll capture the memories. For more information about our videography services, please go to our website at www.dmpvid.com.
Hi, I'm Tommy Green, former pitcher for the Philadelphia Phillies. When I was in high school, it was very important to me to show scouts what I could do. My friends at Payroll Service Solutions are huge supporters of high school sports and the Sports Fan Base Network. If you're a small to medium-sized business in need of a payroll company, contact Payroll Service Solutions. Not only will they take care of you, they will continue to support the community. For more information, contact Payroll Service Solutions at 215-624-0922 or 866-PAY-EASY.
The Sports Fan Base Network, this area's leader in high school sports broadcasting, is heading to TCN with a brand new talk show. Tune in every other Wednesday, 6 p.m. on TCN for SFBN Talks High School Sports.